Welcome to Weight Matters, where we discuss everything that has to do with weight as it concerns an individual. My name is Opeyemi Akpati, and I'm your host. Being overweight or obese has reached epidemic proportions in our world today, with over a quarter of men living on the planet today being overweight or obese, and the numbers for women is a whopping 1/3 of the world's population. Overweight and obesity have joined the ranks of the silent killers like HIV and hypertension, increasing dramatically the rate of mortality and morbidity in the world today. Countries around the world spend billions of dollars in fighting this scourge. Weight Matters will educate, inform, and increase your understanding of everything you need to do to keep your weight at an ideal level and live a healthier and happier life. Stay with us. Welcome back. We're still on Weight Matters, and with me today is my special guest. His name is Dr. Gbenga Kuponiyi, a public health physician, and today he's helping us to explain some of the terms that we use when we're talking about weight as it pertains to human beings. Dr. Gbenga Kuponiyi, you're welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, Opeyemi.
Okay, so I'm going to be asking you a few questions, asking you to help our viewers, help them have a better understanding of some of these terms that they'll be hearing on this program from time to time. Okay. So the first one, of course, is what is weight, and does it really matter?
When we were in school, they told us that matter was anything that had weight and occupies space.
I remember that one.
And I thought that's strange, you remember?
I do.
Now, out of that matter, you then take weight, as a singular thing out of that.
Okay.
Now, when you say weight, you're talking about the amount of substance that anybody contains.
Okay.
In our culture in Nigeria, we like the word when they say a man is weighty, he's loaded.
Okay.
The kind of thing it means.
Okay.
So if they look at you and they say you are loaded, it may not be money, it may mean that you are occupying
a whole lot of
substance,
a whole lot of space
on the inside of you, and that you are taking a lot of ground.
Okay.
But basically, in simple terms, weight is the amount of substance, that you can find in a thing, in a body, or in anything that has matter. That's the amount of weight that you have in it,
okay.
Substance it contains.
All right, thank you very much. Now, let's look at when does someone know, when is weight too much and when is it ideal? How can we know that? Because our viewers will want to know. They want to understand. I mean, somebody could tell an individual, yeah, okay, everything is fine. And they say beauty is in the eye of the beholder.
Yes.
So somebody might be looking at you and saying, oh, you're okay. What really, from a medical practitioner's point of view?
If somebody is telling you, okay, let's hope your body is telling you that you're okay, because those are two separate things,
okay,
that can happen. But when it comes to weight, just like this program says, weight actually matters.
All right.
Now, because if you start quote and unquote fooling around with your weight to the point where it gets out of hand, it's not just that people may say it, but you're going to start feeling uncomfortable. Your body has a way of telling you that something is wrong here.
Okay.
Now, we're going to be as basic and as simple as possible.
All right.
One of the most simplest things that we use for people to have an idea of what their weight is something that we call the body mass index.
That's
or
the BMI.
BMI.
Very good.
Now, the BMI is a simple calculation.
Okay.
You get on a scale and then you take your weight. Make sure that scale is in kilograms. Your weight in kilograms, and then we take your height in meters.
Okay.
So let's assume that your height is 1.5 meters. Then we square your height.
Okay.
All right. Then we divide the weight. Your BMI equals to your weight over your height squared. Okay. Whatever figure we get is your BMI.
All right.
That BMI gives us an idea, of what your weight is, because it ranges from about 18 to well over 40.
Okay, that's the BMI.
The BMI itself.
All right. Okay.
By the time you are hitting a BMI of 25 to 29.9, if that's what you get, you're already getting overweight.
Okay.
By the time you are hitting things above 30, you're getting to obesity. Okay. Which by the time you're getting above 40, you're getting into morbid obesity.
Okay.
All right. So you want your weight to be somewhere between 18 and 24.5, you are happy. Or even 25, you're happy at that point. But when you start...
That is your ideal weight range.
Yes,
okay?
that's the good range that you really want to be in.
Okay.
Also, you don't want to be underweight, because when we say weight, there are two sides of the spectrum.
Okay.
You can have the overweight side, and you can have the underweight side, and both of them are actually bad.
Okay.
Both sides are bad. So you want to remain as ideal as possible within that range, and then so that you have less health challenges. On both sides of the spectrum, you're going to have health challenges. I mean, there's a tendency to focus so much on overweight that sometimes people forget about the underweight. A woman gets underweight, she won't be able to have her menses again. She doesn't have her menses, she can't get pregnant. So there are issues that come with being underweight, But by and large, within our society, the epidemic we're facing is an epidemic of overweight, an epidemic of obesity. But the BMI is a simple tool that gives you a rough idea, a rough measurement, of what your weight and your ideal weight is.
Thank you so much. Another term that I want to ask you about is the body fat. Okay? Now, a lot of people have made this distinction between what a person's overall weight is and what percentage of that is actual fat. So what will you say is body fat?
Now, your body fat is what is left in your body. If you remove your muscles, if you remove all the organs, if you remove the bones, and if you remove the water content within your body, what you have left is the fat percentage.
Okay.
And what you really want to have as far as the amount of fat you have in your body, because really fat is not bad in itself.
Yes.
Fat is good. I mean, without fat, you will be shivering right now, okay? And that's why during the cold seasons or in colder climates, people who are overweight and obese, they're good, man. They got good insulation for their body. So fat in itself is not bad, all right? In fact, fat is present over the brain lining. It helps with conduction, with synaptic junctions and things like that, even around the heart. So it's not in itself bad. But you want to keep it to a particular range and a particular percentage, okay, within the body. Now, for males, we're looking at between 13 and 19%, for females, you're thinking 18 to 25%, except you want to be the supermodels, then you want to be keeping it less and less and less. But most of us are not going to be models and supermodels, all right?
Okay.
So, but that amount, that's what is left when you remove your organs, your water, your bones, your muscles. What you have left is your body fat.
Okay. People really want to ask themselves, how do I know this particular percentage? I'm aware that there's some scales that actually help people to measure. When you stand on them and you put in some parameters, they help you determine what your body fat percentage is.
What I'm excited about Weight Matters is that, people are going to see a lot of things that, simple things that will help them, to know exactly what their body is saying and how they can get into what is ideal for them, not necessarily what somebody else is telling them.
Exactly.
I mean, the most beautiful thing is for you to feel good about your own body, when you see it, And yes, there are skills that have been made over time, and I'm sure we're going to show some, to them over the course of this program, where people can get onto, and it can determine, the amount of fat they have within their body. Because sometimes looks can be deceptive. You can have somebody who actually looks quote unquote trim and lean, but the amount of fat in his body is killing him slowly.
All right.
And he doesn't know that he's got such a high cholesterol content, within the body. And cholesterol is just one part of fat that lets us know the amount. It gives us an indication of the total amount of fat a human being has got in his body. So there are simple tests and simple scales that we can do, and I'm sure we'll get to that in the course.
Okay. Thank you very much. There are people who do not have these skills that can tell them what their body fat percentage is. And with this picture that you brought, we can actually see you know, pictures of men and women, and it can help an individual see what, and you know, and look at this picture and decide where do they actually fall into. You know, just a visual. They have a visual, and then they can also see that, okay, I think I fall between this percentage and this percentage. And we can see now from the men, a man who is very much into bodybuilding having between 1 and 4% now. That's and then somebody between 5 and 7%, and another man between 8 and 10%. And you've told us that for men, it is what is ideal for men is between
about 13 to about, you know, this range.
Exactly, between 13 and 19%. And this one helps them, you know, to see and visualize and say, all right, I think I'm, you know, I'm within that range. And if you see that...
and the beautiful thing is that your tummy or your abdomen is actually going to tell you the truth. I mean,
exactly, and then, you know, we can see the one
for
the ladies, all right? That shows those of them that are also into bodybuilding who are between 10 and 12. And then we can see 15 to 17 right there on the screen, 18 to 20, 21 to 23. And we're actually saying that ladies should have between 18 and 24, 25. So when we begin to see that we have those, those folds, those extensions and distensions.
Where you need to get more clothes material to cover your body frame.
Then we begin to see that, oh, we're overdoing it and we need to do something about it. Thank you so much, Dr. Gbenga Kukpeni. Ladies and gentlemen, when we come back, we will look at some other definitions that will help you to understand more about your weight. Thank you very much. Welcome back. I still have in the studio my special guest, Dr. Gbenga Kukpeni. Dr. Gbenga, welcome once again.
Thank you.
Okay, so now we're still going ahead with some of these definitions of words that people will come across from time to time on this program, and words that, you know, their meanings might not be so clear. All right? Their meanings might not, people's understanding of their meanings might not really be their meanings. Now, one that I want to ask you about is one that, you know, one of my favorites. It is calories, you know. A friend of mine says that calories are little monsters that hide in your wardrobe and every night they sew your clothes tighter. So by the next day, your clothes have grown smaller instead of you growing bigger. So please tell us, really, what are calories?
You know, people don't like to hear the word calories because quite a number of people look at any food substance they buy, any snack they buy, anything, and they check the back. Calorific content.
I think it's good.
You know, but they don't like the word calorie because you have an idea of what they're about to consume. Like a friend of mine says, okay, I close my eyes to the calorie. And I pretend it's not there. You know, when we eat, we generate energy.
Okay.
Okay. And much of the energy is liberated through heat.
Okay.
So what calorie tries to tell you is the amount of heat energy that this thing you're about to consume in simple layman's English, what it's going to give you.
Okay.
In other words, the amount of energy or the amount of quote and unquote energy about to store into yourself,
okay,
which you may or may not use.
Okay.
And that energy may then be stored in a different way that can make you get bigger, which means, for example, suppose we're storing, it was possible to store electricity within this iPad.
Okay.
And you could store it and the iPad will expand to accommodate more and accommodate more and accommodate more and until it swells up because it doesn't have any outlet. So calorie gives you an idea of what you're about to take in, the amount of energy that is inside that, no matter how small or how big it is, you know, and the fact that if you burn it up, this amount of energy that can be given out of it.
You know, physics tells us that, you know, energy cannot be created or destroyed,
yes,
and that it only changes from one form to the other.
Another.
So we have the calories in food being taken
food
in,
energy,
all right, and if we burn it or we do not burn as many or as much of those calories, you know, as we have taken it, then we tend to store it. Very good.
So in simple terms.
Okay, now let's look at the different types of food and the amount of calories they contain.
Okay.
All right, you know, per gram.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's start with the one people are scared of: fat.
Okay, okay.
You know, per gram, you have about 9 calories.
Wow.
So when you're eating quote unquote food which are fatty rich,
Okay.
then yeah. Well, 9 doesn't look much until it starts showing, you know. Carbohydrate, your protein, you're going for about 4 calories, you know, per gram.
Per gram, all right.
You know, maybe it's interesting. Maybe at this point we should bring out something in between,
Which is what?
alcohol.
Oh.
Because there's a tendency to say, oh, I don't eat much, I just take a little bit of alcohol, but you're consuming 7 calories, you know, per gram if you're just taking alcohol. So alcohol can actually also make you big. You know, it's not fatty, it's not
And people
carbohydrate.
just say, oh
it's
no,
not
I'll just drink it and then I'll just go to the bathroom and that will be it.
And then no, he doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that because that's why we say that sometimes you don't know the calorific content of what you're taking in. It may look very small, but with high calorie. You know, so you've got to watch what you're taking in.
Very good.
Basically.
Now, there is a word you mentioned earlier on, and that's the word cholesterol.
Oh, that guy.
That word scares a lot of people. So please tell us about cholesterol.
Especially because, you know, people who go for their checkup, they say, go and check the amount of cholesterol that you have. And it's almost as if there's a death sentence that is called cholesterol. And then the higher of it you have, the closer you are to the grave. You know, it's just, you know, when we consume fatty substance, okay, it's broken down and it's processed, okay, into materials that the body can work with, all right? And then part of those things, okay, is cholesterol. That's what it's going to form one of the things that's broken down into.
Okay.
Now, the problem with cholesterol is that it's carried around in the blood, all right, and then it can accumulate within the blood.
Okay.
When it accumulates within the blood, remember, let's assume that this is a blood vessel.
Okay.
Okay. And blood is flowing through this blood vessel.
Okay.
Then these layers of cholesterol that is broken down from fatty substances start lining the wall of these wonderful blood vessels. And then when they line the wall, they start narrowing the space and narrowing the space and narrowing the space where blood flows through. So you can then have a situation whereby there's so much cholesterol that is lining the blood vessel that the amount of space that blood has to flow through is getting smaller and smaller. Now imagine if this blood vessel was supplying the heart.
Okay.
So you now have a situation whereby blood is still flowing to the heart, but not enough blood is getting to the heart. So the sequela of heart attacks, you know, and those things start happening. You know, and that can happen to any organ in the body because, like we have said, cholesterol is carried in the blood, and that can happen to any blood vessel in the body supplying any organ, from the eyes to the heart to the brain to muscles, everywhere.
Do we have good and bad cholesterol?
Oh yes, thank God that we have good guys and bad guys. It's a case of the good, the bad, and the ugly as far as cholesterol is concerned.
Okay.
The good guys are the people we call the high density lipoproteins, HDL.
Okay.
Those are the ones you want to have plenty of them, you know, in your diet.
Okay.
That's a good one.
Okay.
Of course, the bad guys are the low density lipoproteins, heavy terms, but just bad cholesterols, the ones that cause potential problem, especially that shrink, you know, the arteries, and those are the ones that you really, you know, don't want. Those are the ones you don't want.
All right. And cholesterol is found in foods such as?
Just eggs, cheese,
butter,
fats, and anything that has fat could be broken down into cholesterol.
Wow, that is interesting. Another word that, you know, maybe has been misused is the word diet. Once people hear the word diet, what comes to their mind is just restriction of what you eat. Is that really true?
Diet is what you eat. It's what you're taking in.
Okay, so
it's
not
restriction
really
of what you
okay,
eat.
all right.
So I can have a diet of protein.
Okay.
I can have a carbohydrate diet.
Okay.
I can have a vegetarian diet.
Okay.
I can have a balanced diet.
Oh.
You know, so it's what I'm taking.
Okay.
It's not so much of a restriction.
Okay.
It just tells you I can have bad diet. I can decide to take some quote-unquote forms of sugar alone, and that's what I consume. That's still my diet.
All right.
Okay, it doesn't make it good.
Okay.
Okay, so diet is not good or bad. It's what I take in.
Okay.
All right, so what I now do with the kind of diet I take in is what you're going to see, because, hey, you're what you eat.
Okay, so if someone is someone who is overweight, for instance, is looking at how they can reduce their weight.
What they can do, what he or she is looking at really, is what I need to do with my diet, so that the effect of that diet is seen on me.
Okay.
All right. So basically, it's not the diet in itself that's a problem. It's what kind of diet am I taking? Because the overall picture you're going to see at the end of the day tells you two things. One, the kind of diet I'm taking, and two, what I'm doing with the diet that I take.
Okay. And so someone who is, looking at reducing their weight can actually look at how they can reduce the total amount of calories that they take in.
And or they are using up the calorie that they take in, so that even though they are taking this amount of calorie, it's getting used up, so you don't see the net effect, as it were, on them.
Okay.
I mean, if I say I don't eat much, quote and unquote, and I don't do much too.
That is very correct.
So at the end of the day,
really correct. That is exciting. Thank you so much. I think we'll take a break now.
All right.
And when we come back, we'll talk a few more, talk about a few more words that, our viewers at home need to be conversant with. Don't go away. Welcome back. We're still talking to Dr. Gbenga Akpuponiyi and defining terms that have to do with weight. Dr. Gbenga Akpuponiyi, another word that I like, we have mentioned it earlier today, is the word fat. The different types of fat. Let us understand,
Okay, so
we have talked about body fat percentage, but really, what is fat?
Again, class of food that gives us energy, needed, necessary.
Yes.
But let's talk about the two main, classes of, we like to put them as saturated fats, and unsaturated fats.
What's the difference?
For me, it's simple. That's fat that goes to sleep at room temperature, and fat that is awake, whether it's room temperature or whether it's extremely cold.
Wow.
Now, when we talk about saturated fat, when we talk about fat that goes to sleep, you find it in cheese, in butter, in margarines, and things like that, where, and I'm sure you've seen some vegetable oil in the market that when you bought it in the afternoon under the sun, it was clear liquid. Then you went to sleep, woke up, and then your vegetable oil was still sleeping because it was now
the
in
same
a
thing happens to palm oil, doesn't it?
Yes, same thing happens.
Oh, growing up, we're told that, no. Palm oil is fantastic.
Once they go to sleep while you are asleep, and you have a tendency to wake up before them. I mean, in order for you to wake many of them up, you need to spank them by heat.
You have to put them in the sun.
So yes, you have to spank them by some form of heating or the other. Then you're dealing with saturated fat. Now imagine that same condition, you taking those substances. Imagine that same condition happening all over your body. In all the arteries in which, quote unquote, the fat goes to sleep. All right, that's why it's unhealthy fat. It's unhealthy fat. Whereas the unsaturated ones, the guys who don't go to sleep, they share a particular characteristic with God. He never sleeps nor slumber. They also don't sleep, and they don't slumber.
And examples are?
Soybean oil, cotton seed oil. Very, very good. Okay, very, very good. That's the kind you should go for. Olive oil. Those are the kind you should go for. If you are buying any of those oils, because they don't go to sleep and they don't clog. Because the problem with the saturated fats is that they have a tendency to clog the arteries. And again, we keep saying this. If you keep taking those things and you gradually keep clogging your arteries, a time comes when the blood flow to those organs supplied by those arteries, a time comes when the blood flow is reduced and anything can happen. Anything. That's it. Then you can practically eat yourself to death.
Wow.
You can eat yourself to death. So it's important.
Okay. One more word today is very low calorie diet.
Oh, it's the magic now, and and I think that it was born out of the fact that people needed help, with their diets and with their weights. And
Okay.
sometimes, I know we'll get in the course of the program, the beauty of exercise and beauty of exercise regime, but many times it's difficult to. I mean, I can imagine trying to tell my mother to go on an exercise. I mean, she probably say, "Look, I'm okay. Let me stay the way I am," and because sometimes it may not be as easy for them. But with improving research, improving science, they came up with this, low calorie diets,
Okay.
which they have made to have low calories, but contains all the necessary nutrients by the body.
Okay.
They've been scientifically proven. They are safe,
Okay.
okay, and there's still ongoing work on them. Beautiful.
Okay.
The beauty of it is the fact that all the nutrients necessary and needed by the body have been placed in appropriate proportions within this low calorie diets, because what it delivers to you is the amount of calories that you need, and it's not going to give you more than that.
Okay.
It's calculated. You work with weight experts and they help you calculate how much of it you're going to need, and when you start taking them, it's been a proven quite effective way of losing weight. Of course, once you lose the weight, one thing is to lose weight, another thing is to maintain the weight that you have lost.
Yes.
So, but at least as an initial step, as it gives you some seeds of encouragement when you
Okay.
see that, oh, this weight can actually go down because now you're taking the calorie that you need
Okay.
and not what you don't need. So that in itself, and if you see yourself looking good a couple of weeks after, it might be easier for you to maintain what you have
And
right
it also
now.
helps you to train yourself. It comes a time, if you've been so used to
To
consuming
heavy
a lot of food,
food.
you actually don't hear your body saying you've had enough.
Yes,
So
because
maybe if
because eating becomes an enjoyable pastime. You eat for eating's sake,
okay.
and you stop eating just because you're hungry. And I say this, that in journalism they say that the pen is mightier than the sword.
Okay.
But when it comes to weight matters, the couch is mightier than the sword. And the couch, because you slouch on the couch, you have a bowl of something in your hands, one lovely drink in the other, in front of the television. Every part of you is doing no activity. And if you stay long in that position, you don't even know how much you've taken on that couch, which means the whole of your body is not working. You're watching, television for hours, so even your brain cells are not working. You're consuming so many things, so the only thing is your body is just trying to digest everything. You're lumping in, and then you sleep off in that position, get up again and repeat again the same day. So when it comes to weight, the couch is mightier than the sword.
Thank you so much, Dr. Gbenga Queen. This has been really interesting. And I'm sure that our viewers at home have learned a lot about the correct definition of some of these terms. Next week, we'll come your way again with another interesting episode. Thank you so very much. Have a lovely evening.